Am I the whole for refusing to forgive my abusive father despite my family's intervention? I am 30s, have had a deeply complicated, even traumatic, relationship with my father for as long as I can remember. My childhood wasn't just tough, it was violent, chaotic, and terrifying. From the time I could walk and talk until I was 21 and finally moved out, my father beat me every single day. There was no warning, no reasoning. He would erupt like a storm, and I was always the target. It didn't matter what I did or didn't do. His anger was a constant in my life, and my body and mind bore the brunt of it. By the time I reached adulthood, the damage was already deeply ingrained. I was filled with confusion, anxiety, and shame. But worst of all was the silence. My father never once acknowledged what he did. He never sat me down, never apologized, never even hinted that anything was wrong. And my mother? She was a schoolteacher, always working, gone most of the day. She either didn't see it or chose not to. Either way, I always felt like I was in it alone. In recent years, my father developed Alzheimer's. For some, that would be seen as a tragedy, a heartbreaking twist of fate. For others, it might even be seen as an opportunity, a chance to reconcile, a chance to forgive. But for me, it changed nothing. To me, he is like a stranger now. A stranger I happen to be biologically related to. When we're in the same room, which is rare, I don't look at him. I don't speak to him. I don't acknowledge him. And oddly enough, he doesn't acknowledge me either. Because he's forgotten my name. And you know what? That helps. Unfortunately, my family doesn't see it that way. They can't stand the fact that I've refused to make peace with him. My mother, who has since retired, and my extended family constantly pressure me to forgive him. They act like forgiveness is this magic cure-all, that if I just say the words, all the pain will melt away. But I've told them, time and time again, you can't forgive someone who's never even admitted what they did, who's never shown remorse, who never said sorry.
They don't hear me, or maybe they choose not to.
All of this boiled over 2 weeks ago at my cousin's wedding. It was supposed to be a happy occasion. My uncle on my mother's side, a man I truly admire, was there. He's the one who always stepped up for me. Growing up, he was the man I looked up to, the role model I never had at home. Now that I'm a father myself, I try to be exactly the kind of dad he was. His son was the one getting married, and for once, it felt like a real family gathering. Safe, joyous, filled with laughter. That lasted until the next morning. During breakfast, without warning, my entire extended family, my mom, my uncles, aunts, their spouses, ambushed me. That's the only word for it. They surrounded me and took turns scolding, pleading, and emotionally manipulating me into forgiving my father. They said, he's not the same anymore. He's ill. He doesn't even remember what he did. You're being cruel for holding on to old wounds. I was stunned. But what broke me the most was my uncle, the one I'd looked up to my entire life, taking their side. Then one of my aunts decided to get personal. She brought up something that had happened at the wedding itself. I had disciplined my son for misbehaving by hitting him once. I'd already talked it out with him, apologized, and made peace. But she used it as ammunition, saying, "You're no different than your father." I felt sick. But before I could respond, my 9-year-old son, my heart, my reason for breathing, stood up and spoke. His voice was calm, clear, and devastating. He said, "Yes, my dad hit me and it hurt. I cried a lot." But 10 minutes later, he called me over, hugged me, and said he was really sorry for embarrassing me in front of everyone. He said it in front of everyone too. He asked if I'd forgive him, and we talked it out. I also said sorry for what I did. Did Grandpa ever do that with Dad? The room went dead silent. No one could say a word. My son, barely 9 years old, had cut through years of gaslighting and silence with a single, honest question. Someone awkwardly changed the subject. People suddenly remembered they had toast to finish or coffee to sip. And just like that, the ambush fell apart. But it didn't end there. Later that afternoon, my mother cornered me. Her voice was cold when she accused me of training my son to defend me, as if he had memorized a script instead of speaking from the heart. Her words struck a deep, raw nerve. I looked her in the eye and said, "Did you train Dad to beat me every day while you were conveniently at work from morning till night?" She didn't respond. For context, yes, she was a schoolteacher. She worked long hours, often early to late. But growing up, I told her, I came to her with bruises, with tears, with broken trust. And she always had an excuse, always had a reason not to see it. I've carried that resentment for years. that she could have stopped it and didn't. Since that day at the wedding, the atmosphere within my extended family has changed completely. I've gone low contact with all of them. I've even blocked my mother for now, because with the festive season approaching, I refuse to let their guilt-tripping and manipulation poison what should be joyful moments for my family, my wife, my son, and me. Most of my cousins who grew up alongside me are on my side. They remember what it was like in that house. They've heard the screams. They've seen the bruises. Their spouses, now part of the family, support me too. But their parents, the aunts and uncles who knew my father as a friend, refuse to see the truth. Or maybe they just don't want to. For them, time erases everything. But for me, the scars are still here. My wife suggested I add this detail. I haven't abandoned my parents. I perform all my duties. I cover their monthly expenses, medical bills, and I make sure they get to their doctor appointments and medical tests. I do everything expected of a son, except one thing. I do not speak to my father. If he needs something, my mother contacts me, and I handle it. I regularly speak to my mom too, and when she's not pushing me to talk to dad, our relationship is cordial, sometimes even warm. But I will not fake a relationship with a man who beat me every day for 21 years. I will not pretend that Alzheimer's erased a lifetime of trauma. And I will not hand out forgiveness like candy to someone who never even asked for it. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my father and standing my ground against my family?